spending time with someone that might not even move here, right?
Yep.
But I was a salesman first, and so to me that's prospecting. And I always feel like I always thought in my head, if I'm a realtor, give me that opportunity,
Absolutely.
right?
Welcome to Location Community, the podcast where real estate isn't just about finding the right house, it's about discovering the perfect place to call home. I'm Mike Rohr with Jeremy Doering of Doering&Co Real Estate in Elm Grove. On this show, we explore the dynamic relationship between where you live and how you live, diving into the importance of not just the location, but the community that comes with it. Welcome to episode 1 of Location Community. I'm Mike Rohr with Jeremy Doering with Doering&Co Real Estate in Elm Grove. And I guess, Jeremy, where do we start?
I would say the story and how we got here.
Right? How we're here with microphones in our face, never doing this before.
What it takes, the courage, the courage to get here is really what is important.
Courage is a good word, because how many years has it been that we've been talking about this?
It's been quite some time. Yeah, but we're here, so we feel very strongly about sharing what we have to the community and to the people and to our listeners about real estate, not only locally but nationally, and then also how the community affects the location and the real estate values in the areas.
Right. I mean, it's that's what matters, right? I think you shared with me, there was a study, I think it was the NAR, National Association of Realtors, like almost 80% of people care more about the neighborhood and the community they live in than the size of their home.
Yeah.
Like the community is number one.
And I think a lot of that has changed in the last 10, 20 years for people.
Yeah.
To where people had larger families, people had more emphasis on having larger families and having more space, and now it's different. People would rather have a community that is built on safety and support and businesses and walkability. All those factors really play into people looking at those communities and what they have as far as amenities, events, school systems.
Yeah, all that. And we're going to get into that. I think before we do, I want to kind of take a step back and maybe talk a little bit kind of, again, how we got here. I mean, I think we talked about this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I mean, you made a big investment on your own 4 years ago.
I did. I bought a bunch of equipment thinking that I would have, thought I would have the desire or the ability to get in front of the camera and talk to people.
Yeah.
In a podcast room that I developed in our office.
Yep.
But it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get here. It takes timing. It takes, it takes practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So all those things are not easy.
And remember that, everybody tuning in, take some practice. This is episode 1. So continue to come back. We'll get better. We promise. But
I would say though, based on my experience, and I feel based on your experience and your knowledge and what we've learned collectively, and where we're at right now in today's real estate market, there's no better time to share, to a larger audience of, what's happening in the industry and what are some, resources and what are some things that people can take from these podcasts and they can, share it with others and just be better informed as a customer, as a client.
Correct.
And that's really why I felt compelled that we needed to get this out in this type of fashion.
Yeah.
Right. Broadcast this to the podcast world and to to people out there instead of, as you know, the cliche thing to do in real estate is to send out postcards.
Love getting postcards.
Yeah.
Love it.
The postcards, or putting yourself in the magazine, the local magazine, or the sports magazine that the schools offer.
Yeah.
None of that, and I've done hundreds of that stuff through the last 23 years, but none of that really gives me and gives the organization a group as a group to really showcase what we do.
Yeah.
Right. And then be able to be authentic about it. There's no authenticity about a postcard. Yeah. Right. It's sitting here in front of the camera, delivering who we are, how we do it.
Yep.
Is the way that I feel is going to be the most authentic approach to
correct
to delivering what we do.
Correct. And I think I think another thing that really impacted us being here today is, and actually we're going to have a guest on, and we won't spoil the surprise, and we'll introduce her later. But we do a lot of community tours, right? And whether it be physicians or executives or whatever moving to the area, we'll get in the car with them, right? We'll spend 3-4 hours with them, showing them the different communities. And the feedback that is received, I think, just really put the exclamation mark, whatever you want to say, whatever term you want to use, that it's so impactful to what people want, right? They want to hear, they want to have that experience. They want more than what is currently being given, like the postcards, like the magazines and things like that. And obviously you've done that a long time. I mean, expand on that, just what the community tours can do.
Yeah, I feel like when I first started in the industry, that was more of a common practice, to where you'd get and meet people at a location and pick them up, and then you would take them out in your car and you drive them around.
Yep.
With, I think, as the industry unfolded and being more demanding and just in higher demand with real estate, and then along with the with the COVID and the social distancing at that point, I feel it has now evolved to where you just meet people at the house.
Yep.
And so there's really no connection that's developed except for the connection that you have, during that time. And maybe people meet at the coffee shop, or they meet at the house and they have those conversations, or they meet at an office and have conversations which are good. It's the same thing. As long as you spend the time to talk to your future client or your future customer about what they're looking for in a community, and laying down the framework of what's important to them and what are they looking for in a community.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of brought it all together. Just getting that feedback, doing that, and why aren't we doing this with everybody in the Elm Grove, Brookfield, Elmbrook area, New Berlin, whatever it may be?
Yeah, Whitefish Bay.
Let's talk about the community, because that's what people find most important.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People coming in from outside of Wisconsin thinking they want X. And then you drive into 3-4 communities and they're like, I don't want X anymore. I want Y, or I want something different that I thought I wanted. Right? That this is what's going to be important to me from a personal standpoint and for my family. This is what we need.
Right. Well, I feel like we have 3 different areas in the southern eastern part of Wisconsin. We have the close to Lake Michigan, the Whitefish Bay, the Shorewood, Fox Point, downtown living. And then we move along west and we have the Wauwatosa, the Elm Grove, and the Brookfield area.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, and then we have New Berlin and Menominee Falls in that too. And then as you travel further west, then you go into Pewaukee, Delafield, Heartland, Economowoc.
Lake country, yeah.
So there's really 3 markets that we expose to people as they come here to Wisconsin if they've never been here, and it's really understanding distance, from work and quality of living and school systems, breaking those down for people. And if you go further west, generally you're going to be able to get a larger home or a bigger lot.
Yeah.
Right. So is that important to you, or is it, the walkability important to you? So, that's why, developing this video and being in front of this podcast, I feel strongly about it, as we've gotten more experience under our belt doing this.
Yeah.
So that way we can talk about these communities and bring in these, advocates and leaders in the community to showcase what this community is all about.
They know what's going on.
They
right?
really do.
Let's hear it from their mouth, so to speak. And as we've done this, I think there's 4 areas, right? It's the schools, it's the parks and the recreation, it's the community events, right, that are going on, and there's the accessibility to shopping and dining. Like, I think those are 4 areas that I think we have a lot of conversations with our clients as far as, okay, well, like what's important.
Right.
A lot of times they'll come in and they'll kind of already have that, but then to be able to see it, and now in this podcast to be able to have business owners, municipal leaders, community organizations come in and talk about what's going on. So we're not just going to give this to the people that are our clients, right, that we talk to and what we do in general as a whole, but we're going to bring it to everybody. So we hope you continue to tune in, and we'll, our goal is to bring relevant real estate information, as well as, the community aspect, which, is most important.
Along the lines of that too, Mike, my goal is to bring in people that are involved with the trades business in real estate.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to bring in our vetted resources that we use. We, as an organization, we're built on, kind of that challenging the status quo.
For sure.
It's not a box that we are stuck in. It's, how can we think outside the box and how can we improve?
Yep.
It's the status of, let's continuously improve. Let's find the people that want to improve, right?
That we can trust.
That we can trust, and let's help other people in those cases of what they need to help remodel their homes, to help be resourceful and give those vetted people, and making sure that they're doing the right things for our clients and for our customers that are out there.
For sure.
The industry is vastly changing. The resources that are out there, there's the opportunity to make sure that the things are done correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Details matter.
Details matter. Absolutely.
Right? And that's our job, to make sure, right, that the people all want to improve, that they're going to have the details that
100%
we use. So yeah, I think as we wrap up this first episode, we hope first of all, we thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in. And then that's the goal. We want to be, what's the statement? We want to be bold, brief, and be gone. So we want to be, these podcasts to be relevant, valuable information on real estate, and then good information, what's going on in the community, and different guests every week, or every bi-week, let me say, because we're not going to do it every week yet. This is new. So one step at a time. But every 2 weeks, that's the goal, is to bring in a guest for every episode. And we hope you continue to tune in. And now I think it's the best. Well, I can't say best yet because it's our first episode. But I think it's going to be the best part of the episode is the portion where we bring on a guest.
Yep.
And I'm going to hand that over to you so you can introduce our first guest on episode 1.
Yeah. So very exciting, very looking forward to exploring our guest. Her name is Lisa Frank, and she's part of the Aurora Advocate
Health system.
Yep. Where she is a recruiter, and she, has incoming physicians, and she reaches out to people in that industry that are coming into the hospitals to place them into positions and then to interview them and making sure they get to the right place. And then along with that, she has in the past, from my knowledge, she has provided a real estate agent as a recommendation so that the person can get more familiar with the area that they potentially would be living in. So yeah, it's how we all kind of got this started and what we had thought about.
Yeah, for sure.
With how we started working with more physicians and other clients and doing these community tours, but that's where we all started.
Can't wait to talk to her. So I think now, being episode 1, I'm really excited about this portion of our podcast is the chance to bring on a guest. And today we have a great guest that I think is going to be able to share some insightful information as far as things that we've talked about, right, about doing the community tours. And to people who really want it, right? People are coming in brand new to Wisconsin, never been around the Milwaukee area, to kind of share what we do and help them, if they decide to move to Wisconsin, know where their home is going to be, right? And community is a big part of that. So today we have Lisa Frank from Rohr Advocate, a physician integration specialist. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yep.
Senior.
Senior. Don't let the age be the senior. Everybody gets that title, not just me.
Okay, good to know. But Lisa, first of all, huge thanks.
Of course.
For being guest 1 on episode 1.
I'm honored, and I appreciate your asking me.
And we're honored for you to be here. I mean, thank you so much for helping us launch our first podcast. So I guess let's just start. Let's get to know a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Lisa and your role.
Well, so my name is Lisa Frank. I work for Advocate Aurora Health. I've been in my role, it will be hard for me to believe, 11 years on August 13th this month. And it's interesting. I had a sales background. I worked in pharmaceuticals and I worked in a sales capacity, so called on physicians. So I always kind of had the clinician, relationship kind of sales in my background. I had stayed home for 17 years and raised my children. And then when my daughter got her driver's license, I was like, okay, I need to go create my second life, right? So anyway, I took this role. And it was a nice link because, again, the whole physician thing, which I was very comfortable with. Yep. But I never really worked in recruitment. Okay. Advocate structures their recruitment a little differently than do most organizations. A lot of people have what they call full cycle recruitment. So you would have a recruiter who would run the full gamut of interviewing and bringing somebody in. At Aurora, we separate the roles out. So we have sourcing recruiters who do the initial outreach, go to the conferences, right, and communicate initially with the doctors. Once they get their backgrounds and think they're a good fit for our opportunity, they'll present them to leaders within our organization. Those individuals do interviews, and then once they determine that they want that individual to come on site and actually meet people, they introduce me into the equation. Okay. So my role is really about everything that happens when they come. Right? So I set their itineraries and then I escort them throughout the day. So make sure all those connections are made and everything runs seamlessly. Schedule lunches and dinners and all that. Yeah. Matter of fact, I get teased all the time at restaurants. I never show up for dinners, but when they put my phone number in, there's like 30, reservations. And one of my doctors said, at the Harbor House, Lisa, they really want you to come down there so they can actually see who you are.
And it's a great you should go. I mean, it's a great restaurant.
I know. That's what I'm
You need to go more.
I should go more. But anyway, so it's a really fun, great job. I get to meet a lot of wonderful people. But one big aspect of that job, for the totality of time I've been there, is when people are traveling, we have some candidates that are local, right? So they don't, they kind of have their own ideas about the city. But those that are coming from out of state, we definitely offer community tours too. Yeah. And that's been for the full time that I've been there. Okay. But there's really been an evolution, I would say, of that community tour piece, honestly, since I met Jeremy. Okay. Because we've kind of personalized it in a way that I didn't feel existed before. Okay. Before it would be, I would just reach out to a realtor and I would say, hey, I have a physician in town. I want to schedule you from 1 to 3 to meet with that person and tour them around the city. And they would get them in their car and do, what they did. I guess I didn't really know. But, just a little bit more of a generic kind of overview.
Yeah.
But when I started working with Jeremy, and I was trying to remember, I think it's got to be 5 or 6 years ago.
Pretty close to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes by quick.
I know. It's crazy. But, we kind of set things up differently because I was thinking to myself, who am I to be in the middle of this? Like, I feel like if I connect this individual directly to Jeremy, which, maybe is a little bit more work for him, and he can reach out and have a discussion prior to their arrival, we can really fine-tune what it is they want to see and do. And you guys know better than I what it is they're requesting of you, but I have a feeling it's a pretty broad bandwidth of things. Some people just want to see high level. Some people say, hey, I'm going to rent. Some people say, hey, I want to bring my wife and kids and I want you to show me a house that's 4 or 5 bedrooms.
And a lot of times you don't have that information, right? If they have children, if they're single, if they have a significant other. So that conversation is very important to have. So I have a better understanding to how to really map out my community tour and what to talk about, some kind of amenities, some highlights to the area. But yeah, that's I think number one, that's very important that I have that conversation with those people, so I understand what are they used to and what are they looking forward to in a new community, a new town.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that they feel that the time spent is of the utmost value, right?
Yeah, correct. For me too.
Yeah, and that's a hook. I mean, when you guys are meeting with them, and this was somewhat the pushback initially we would get from realtors is that a lot of the people you meet with are not necessarily going to be offered the position yet, haven't necessarily accepted the job yet, right? So, you're looking at spending time with someone that might not even move here, right? But I was a salesman first, and so to me that's prospecting. And I always feel like I always thought in my head, if I'm a realtor, give me that opportunity,
Absolutely.
right? Because you're talking about a physician in all cases with my recruitment who are gonna, if they do purchase probably an above average home, right? So doing all that up front, I think is hopefully been good on your end as well, and giving you opportunities to connect and then follow those individuals. And then when we do hire them, then Jeremy has had that ongoing relationship, and most times they step in and spend that time with you then when they're serious.
Yeah, and the opportunity in sales, that's what it's about, right? Is capitalizing on opportunities and putting your best foot forward and always doing what's best. So I never looked at not thinking about how is this going to turn. I mean, at some point it will turn into a sale or turn into a client relationship. But in the beginning and now and until the end, it's always going to be about delivering what we do to the best and how we do it. Yeah. So that's really how I felt just going into it, and hopefully that has shined and has.
It has. It has, and I know I don't want Jeremy to get a big head or anything, but I have told him. I do think
he already has one. So don't worry about it.
Size-wise, I do.
When I look at just, the 11 years, right? And then when we did do the shift, and of course it's Jeremy's personality as well, but when we did do the shift to making it more personalized up front, it definitely has created different feedback. I will get unsolicited feedback now from my physicians saying, hey, Lisa, and by the way, thank you so much for connecting me with Jeremy. He's been great. He's been incredible. He's worked so hard for us. And I never, really would hear that in the past.
Okay.
So, again, credit to your firm, but also credit, I think, in fact, that we changed the way we're structuring it such that people are getting that really personal experience.
Because that has to matter for Aurora as well, right? Because when you put an offer out, like the healthcare industry, it's competitive. They probably have offers from other places, right? Knowing that, okay, I can move my family there because I have a better understanding now.
Oh yeah.
Of what that is. So it's got to also be a credit to like Aurora's looking,
Yeah,
in a good
we're
light.
shining in a different way because we are personalizing our process, right?
Yep.
And everybody wants to feel connected to the community that they're potentially moving to.
Yes.
I always say, it is such a big decision. I feel such a weight of responsibility when I have these young doctors. They're moving their entire family from the other side of the country. I want to be sure that they really know what they're saying yes to.
Yes.
Not only the job, which I always say is very important, that we're super transparent about what our opportunity is so that we can hopefully give them their forever home at Aurora, but also that we're giving them the community information through you guys and your assistants that lets them feel confident that, I'm uprooting my family of 5 and my pulling my kids out of their schools and,
what does
but
that look
I
like?
feel comfortable that when I get to Milwaukee, I know what we're saying yes to. I know what those schools are going to look like. I've toured them, I know.
Yeah. And I think if it's the right community, which again is a big aspect of why we're in this podcast, is that in 2 years or 3 years, they're like, okay, I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
Right. So, because the quality of life, work's a big part of it. But when they go home, are they in a place that checks the boxes that they want for their family and their personal life?
It's huge.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's huge because people won't just up and move when they have a family that's established and happy.
Yeah.
They're
happy. That's the key word.
Yeah, because the price of that disruption is just too high in most people's minds. So, on the front end, they really want to be sure and, that where they're going is where they're going to want to put down roots and stay.
Yeah. And I think for me, what has helped me deliver that conversation and my personality to those physicians is that I've lived on the West Coast. I lived in other areas, Las Vegas and San Diego, and I've moved back to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And knowing what is out there in other areas and coming back to Wisconsin and, the Midwest known for personalized neighborhoods and family.
Midwest nice.
Midwest nice.
Right.
There's a lot that I can share with them on that experience. And, the other aspect of like sending links to them for families, family stuff is what I email them different links to help just support, because a lot of these physicians that they do have younger families and they ask me, hey, Jeremy, what do you do in the wintertime? Right. Yeah. Some of them are from down south or out east and they're like, well, I have kids. What do you do with your kids in the wintertime? So sharing, good stories about what we do as a family here in Wisconsin and, the neighborhoods and the schools that are just, is something that I feel like is very, very important for them coming here.
And you can totally get the feeling of when you meet somebody, even if they're maybe not as talkative or whatever, when you start having these conversations about the school and the things that are important to them, right? It just becomes, the 2, 3, 4 hours fly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
they fly by.
I bet, yeah.
Right? Because it's just a good conversation and it's, enjoyable, I think, for both parties.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
We're, Aurora, too, is a very multicultural organization. It's a real melting pot. St. Luke's, we have just it's fascinating. When I very first started, I supported our hospitalist recruitment and I always hosted lunches and I would sit in those lunches and I was just amazed at all I learned about all these different cultures and they were just such amazing people, always telling me the great restaurants, where I could get the most authentic Indian food or, in Milwaukee.
Food, yeah.
So it was always very fun. But when they're here too, catering our visits to, like I just had an Orthodox Jewish physician here on Tuesday, and he was looking for the mosques and, he was looking for the temples. He wanted to go where, see what that would look like, see what that culture existed here. Because this is where, he wanted to feel comfortable that when he moved his family here, there was enough of a baseline of people in, his religious community that he could really envision himself settling here and feeling good. So.
Right. And like I said, I think this whole conversation, again, It's like that's what they was worried about, not how many square feet of a house I can get.
Right.
It's it's the community and where they're going to be at, where they're going to live outside the home. That's most important.
Yeah, and we have young physicians too that are single, and they kind of want to know what is the downtown scene like. What goes, what's it like in the third ward, or we try to really find those niche areas that they would enjoy. Yep. Great restaurants. I always try to talk to them about things like that and
how far Chicago is.
Yeah. People work in Chicago. You get on the train and get there in
45 minutes.
Realize how close it is when you're like, you can take the train an hour and 20 minutes ish.
Yeah.
And you can be downtown Chicago and they're like, really?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what they're used to working in Philly or New York or whatever.
I mean, we try to go down there for a dining experience like quarterly.
Yeah.
Just because it's so nice.
I don't want to live in Chicago with traffic, but it's a great place.
Yeah. My son lives in Bucktown, and it's an easy trip down there.
Yeah.
And again, the whole international airport at O'Hare, is a selling point. A lot of people just love the proximity to that bigger city. But then what I would say too over the years that I've always learned, or I hear a lot, is people are so pleasantly surprised at what Milwaukee is. Mm-hmm. Like they come here with kind of this preconceived
100%.
idea, right? And I don't fault them for that, because quite frankly, there are cities in the country that I've never been to that I also have a certain preconceived notion about, and I'm sure that would be dispelled if I went there. But they always say it's so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I
agree 100%.
It's really cool. It's there's so much going on here, and I always say, it's like a mini Chicago. We have the lake, we have the river that runs through the little town.
Say we're Chicago is Milwaukee South. We're Milwaukee North.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. It's
but I'm just saying, there's a great food scene here. There's and that's really developed. I would say I could say 10 years ago, I don't think I really could have maybe said that with the same confidence that I say now. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of young chefs that have migrated up from Chicago that are really getting their foothold here, and people are enjoying that. And so I think, there's a lot going on here that it's fun. Yeah. And it's always fun to get that feedback.
Well, Lisa, I mean, thank you for coming on the show and sharing,
of course,
this information. Just, I think the feedback that you hear and what's important to physicians and people that are moving in here to any area of Milwaukee really kind of goes to, again, what's important to whether you're already here or you're coming in, community is a big aspect of that.
Yeah.
I guess in closing, anything, people move into Milwaukee, I think you kind of shared something that's better than what you might expect, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's just how I feel, is that, I'm proud to, bring people here. I feel confident, in having them move here. I feel like our process helps me to have that confidence, because I know they've gotten, a good representation of the community through your assistance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's all we can do. And if it's the right fit for them, they'll know it and feel it. Yeah. And that's what we try to achieve when they're here. And
awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us be part of that.
Yes.
Experience for the
it's a great partnership. Yeah. And I feel very blessed to have it, because, like I said, it makes everything a little easier for me, because I know they're in good hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been really great to work with them, with everyone that you've introduced us to. Yeah. It's been a great experience.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for everybody who tuned in for episode 1. Please come back for future episodes. It's like every 2 weeks is the hope. So until then, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.
See you next time. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Location Community. I hope today's episode gave you a deeper understanding on how the right community can enhance your living experience and enrich your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a message, and share it with your friends or anybody looking to make the most informed decision about where to live. And remember, it's not just about the house you buy, it's about the community you're joining. Until next time, I'm Jeremy Doering and Mike Rohr, reminding you that the best investment you can make is in a place where you feel connected, supported, and inspired. See you on the next episode.